The last faith group are the indigenous spiritualities, which are usually shamanic and animistic in nature, and are often developed around connecting with the spirit of the planet and nature in an intimate relationship to aid in spiritual, emotional, and even physical healing. Now, we understand that there is an incredibly massive number of spiritualities on this planet, and I'm not trying to oversimplify or generalize the diversity here. For so many of these faiths are unique unto themselves and beautiful in what they are and represent. Nevertheless, we can see this pattern of location and influence across time in how these different faith groups emerged, bringing us to where we are today. It would make sense that the Sumerian mythologies and subsequent Abrahamic faiths are concerned with the stories of the gods from the past so much, especially if there were enlightened beings who provided them with these stories in the first place. However, one of the earliest groups to suggest this independent racist theory were the Theosophist Society of Madame Helena Blavatsky in the late 1800s. In her work, The Secret Doctrine, she proposes a theory that 5 to 6 different root races spread out across the globe and settled in different regions as the earth changed throughout history. Of course, much of their information was apparently gleaned through astral clairvoyance and channeling, as well as discussing the older works of the Platonic philosophers. So take what is said here on your own merit. According to Blavatsky's writings, there will be 7 root races assembled for our earth, and each root race is divided into 7 sub-races, but only 5 root races have appeared so far, with the 6th being expected to emerge in the 28th century. Francis Bacon, whom Theosophy considers to be the legendary Count of Saint Germain, in his work The New Atlantis, describes a potential future civilization which lives on a land called Ben Salem. Following their work, the first race were known as the Polarians. These were beings composed entirely of etheric matter and had no physical bodies. They were some of the oldest beings to inhabit our planet and lived during the early stages of our world when it was still cooling on the legendary Mount Meru from Eastern mythologies. The second race lived in what is often called Hyperborea by the Greeks and Romans. In modern day, this is suggested to be the northern territories such as Greenland, Iceland, Canada, and Scandinavia. Due to their climate, this race developed different skin tones and a focus around surviving in the cold weather. The third and fourth races were the Lemurians and the Atlanteans that we have spoken about already. The fifth race were the Aryans. This was the current epoch that Blavatsky believed us to be in, which in her opinion were descended from and the result of the spread of Lemurians and Atlanteans after the sinking of their home. However, the concept of Aryans were distorted and diluted by Hitler and his whole Aryan race thing, but it's interesting nonetheless to visualize the history of the world in this way, almost as if descending from a higher frequency into this postmodern world we live in. We found all of this to be an interesting exploration of the history of humanity, and one that bridges quite well in the exploring of the epochs of time and the fall of Atlantis, bringing us to today. All of this really goes to show that these world religions are fundamentally connected with each other and a part of a much bigger story. Spiritual value can often be found in any faith if we look for it, and it's not appropriate to claim that only one religion or spirituality is specifically better or worse than another. Well, unless its core tenets are like, hurt others, take advantage of people, or kill people you don't like. Rather, today we simply must learn that we are all connected, all a part of the same family, and that we shouldn't demonize each other for our various beliefs, but hold a space of love and compassion for each other and what we believe, even if we disagree.